Now we'll create the tile floor. I'll select the topmost layer in my layer order, and I'll put a new layer in. And I'll name it Tile Floor. And I'm going to use my Marquee tool. With my Marquee, I'll set the size under Style to Fixed Size, making the height and the width 1.5 inches. And I'll click on my blank layer. In my swatches, I'll pick a pale gray, just so the tile looks a little old and worn, and I'll hold down the Option key and hit Delete. Back in the layer window, I'll go down to FX or double click on the gray of the layer to introduce the bevel and emboss. The style should be set for inner bevel, and the technique is chisel soft. And now I'm going to play with the size. I'll make the size 10. I'm making the depth 200. And I'll make the softness 5. This is going to be a pattern that's comprised of 4 tiles, 2 different colors. I'll need another tile that is this gray diagonally down from the one we just created. I'll hold the Option key and the Shift, and if I drag at a 45-degree angle, you can feel it constrain the shape exactly where you need it. The other option would be simply to Option drag straight down, take your finger off the Option key and hold the Shift and drag it to the right. So it looks something like this. I'll deselect. Now we need another tile with a different color to fill in the right hand corner and the lower left corner. I'll duplicate that layer by right clicking and choosing duplicate, or I could have hit Command J. I'll hit Command T, right click inside and flip horizontal. Now we have 4 white gray tiles, 2 of which will be a color that I want. I'll lock the transparency of that new layer, and I will go to Swatches. In the Pastel tab, I'm going to choose a pale green, and I'll hit Option Delete, and I'll hit Command S to save. Now I need to generate a pattern out of this for the floor. I'll start by going up to View and going to Snap to Layers. If I have my rules available, I'll drag a vertical guide with my Move tool, snapping it to the left side, then to the right, the top, and the bottom. Now I want to define this as a pattern. I'll go to View, Snap to Guides. And that means that when we use our rectangle marquee tool, and we're careful about the selection, you'll feel the marquee tool snap to the guides. Be sure to set your marquee back to normal though. And now I'll click and drag. It actually turns red, the selection line, when you are around the perimeter of the guides. Once I have that, I'll go to Edit and Define Pattern. I'll turn off the reference layers we just created and deselect. Because the tile floor is going to be down below the bricks and the cinder blocks, I'll click on the template layer at the very bottom and introduce a new layer. Remember that with the pattern tool, whatever layer is selected will be filled with that pattern, so we want a new one so that we don't cover up anything we've done already. I'll go to Edit, Fill, and when I get the last entry and click OK, I have a tile floor. Now I wanted this to have a perspective. If we take a look at the final background, we can see that it has been distorted so it looks three-dimensional inside the room now. To do that, I want to make sure I've got my work area stretched out a bit. Now I'll hit Command T and I'll drag it down. I'll scale back. Getting more work area, I'll hit Command T and now I can access the bottom edge. I'll start by holding the Shift key and dragging up to make them into more narrow rectangular shapes. Once I have something like this, I'll hold the Command and the Shift and I'll start to drag from the corners. Once I have the perspective I want, I'll set it. And we should have something like this.